Alright guys, I'm here with my brother Ramel here at COSI on a Saturday. We're going to check out the Titanic exhibit and then go check out the rest of COSI.
It's like, oh, instead of seeing the actual bones, we have it on video.
When you come to the Titanic exhibit, you are given a boarding pass with information about a passenger that was on the Titanic. My passenger is 6-year-old Nina Harper. She was traveling with her father and her cousin Jessie, and they were second-class passengers. Make sure you watch to the end to find out what happened to 6-year-old Nina Harper. Now, right at the entrance to the exhibit, you can become Jack and Rose if you'd like. You want to go there? No, you're gonna charge you. The exhibit consists of artifacts, displays, and even some recreated rooms from the Titanic. It's an incredible exhibit. I highly recommend it if you ever have the chance. If this exhibit is anywhere near you at some point in the future, it's definitely worth seeing. Submersible that went down to the Titanic. Here is the sub-commander that led many of the missions in recovery of the artifacts. This was a pretty neat display. Here's the artifact here, and they included the picture of the artifact as it was sitting on the ocean floor. There is a recreation of the Titanic as it sits on the bottom of the ocean floor. That is a whole frame. Those circular windows you see on the outside of Titanic, there's a porthole. There was an actual piece of the Titanic that you can touch in this display. You can actually touch it. You can see how it's been worn out. Here I thought it was something about the Titanic, but my brother instead is always thinking about ways to renovate his house. Flooring?
You think it's too much, right? It's too rough.
Here's a turnbuckle. Look at the size of this wrench for working on the ship. Here's my hand. The sound of this Titanic whistle was so eerie as you were looking around at all the displays. This thing kept going off in the background.
Coordinated tugboat movements and the ship's departure from port. While at sea, Titanic's crew sounded the ship's whistles each day at noon. Somebody.
So I guess when you come in through the ship, that's how it looks. It's the Titanic.
Yeah. Carpeted floors. Here is a recreation of one of the first class stateroom corridors. The dinner or something? This one is room B50. They got some nice lamp sconces here.
I think this is what it looks like.
You think that they got pictures and everything? Okay.
Like these H46.
Huh? Is that Rose's locket? Not even close. Here's a green enamel and gold cufflink stud set. A silk bow tie. Here is the grand entryway. Obviously, this is the showstopper here. Look at this place. Imagine the remember Leo coming down? Maybe I'll try and insert it. Coming down these steps. On the right side there, you can have professional pictures taken in front of this grand staircase. The Titanic could accommodate over 750 first-class passengers, and all of its first-class cabins rivaled many of the world's finest hotel rooms. The cost of a first-class ticket on Titanic to New York was $2,500 at the time, approximately $57,200 today, and the two most luxurious suites on B deck was a staggering $4,500, which is equivalent to $103,000 today. And from first class, we come to the third class accommodations. These tickets on average were £7, or the equivalent of $35, or about $1,000 today. The vast majority of the people that did not survive came from the third class passengers as well as crew. They had an exhibit of the boiler room, as well as pictures of some of the men that worked in there that perished that evening. And here is a quote from first class passenger Jack Thayer pointing out the moonless night, which played a huge part in the fate and destiny of the Titanic. Because despite warnings throughout the day from other ships in the area, like this one at 1:45 p.m. from the America, 9:30 p.m. from the SS Mesaba, and another at 10:55 p.m. from the Californian, the Titanic crew continued to steam ahead at 21 knots, close to top speed, with low visibility because of the moonless night. And by the time night watchmen Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee sounded the alarm, it was already too late, and the tragic story of the Titanic is set in history. Out of the 2,240 passengers and crew, only 706 people survived. The Titanic struck the iceberg at 11:40 p.m. and finally sank around 2:20 a.m. And these 706 survivors had to go through the entire night, probably in disbelief and grief-stricken, until the Carpathia, the closest ship to them, arrived early in the morning. This is a davit. This is the crane arm mechanism that basically lifted and lowered the lifeboats. There's the lifeboat. This is how big it would be. Guys, they have an iceberg set up here where you can touch the ice, and this thing is actually, it's cold. Iceberg right ahead. Amidst all these artifacts are the stories of the passengers, some incredibly sad and some miraculous. Leah Axe wanders the boat deck, holding her baby son Philly in her arms. Suddenly, a sailor grabs Philly and tosses him into Lifeboat 11 as it lowers. Leah is restrained from following and must pass a miserable night before being reunited with her child. Ruth Becker, age 12, is separated from her mother and two siblings in the loading of the lifeboats. Seeing Ruth still on the deck, her mother, Nellie Becker, screams, "Ruth, get in another boat!" Ruth is put into Lifeboat 13. Ida Strauss, wife of Macy's department store owner Isidore Strauss, stops as she is about to board Lifeboat 8. Mrs. Strauss refuses to leave her husband, saying, "I will not be separated from my husband. As we have lived, so we will die together." Margaret Brown takes charge of Lifeboat 6, wresting control away from the unstable quartermaster Robert Hitchens and encouraging women in her boat to row with her. Later during a long and freezing night, Margaret will keep her companion's spirits up with stories and song. Known in Titanic lore as the unsinkable Molly Brown, she basically took control of her lifeboat and went back to rescue more people in the water. The Titanic tragedy led to investigative hearings, which ultimately changed safety regulations for all ships at sea. One of those, of course, being having enough lifeboats for all passengers and crew, as well as having lifeboat drills, so that everyone is aware of what to do in case something happens. So what happened to 6-year-old Nina Harper? There is actually a station at the exhibit where you can find out what happened to your passenger, and Nina Harper survived. It says here she ended up becoming an orphan. She did get married and she died in 1986. Of course, just outside of the Titanic place is a souvenir shop. Get some really cool Titanic stuff. Look at this one. That's pretty cool. Little white star. Just so you know how much this is going to cost you. It's $60. T-shirts, $30.